It's funny how news breaks the moment we get done with the show yesterday. Nothing can happen between the hours of 11 and 1 every day so we can react to it live here on the program. No, things have to happen 30 minutes after we are done, because that is when we learned yesterday that the Arizona Cardinals paid Trey McBride. They backed up the Brinks truck, if they still have those, if that's still how large amounts of dollars are moved. I don't know, but we've been using that phrase. I've heard that phrase for a very long time in sports media, so I'm going to continue to use it. Trey McBride got his bag yesterday. That's the modern version of backing up the Brinks truck, because the Arizona Cardinals made Trey McBride the highest paid tight end in the history of the NFL. A 4-year, $76 million contract extension that has $43 million guaranteed. Obviously, we need to see how this contract is broken down, to see the way that it is structured. But it carries an annual average value of $19 million. That is the highest among all the tight ends. That beats the number that was set by Travis Kelce at $17.125 million. So let's start with what may be some sticker shock at that number. That the Cardinals made Trey McBride the highest paid tight end in the history of the game. We all knew this contract was coming. We all wanted this contract to get done. I believe there was some worry a couple of weeks ago about getting that deal done. And I said, you start to worry about this when we get to training camp, when we get to the preseason games. But I think this is done well before then. I predicted that it would get done on draft day. I thought that would be when it gets released. Close enough, a couple of weeks. Nobody's surprised by the decision to extend Trey McBride. There may be some shock today about the money that was given to Trey McBride, that he now is getting paid more on a per-year basis than Travis Kelce is making. But let me tell you why the Cardinals did what they did. Yesterday, we talked to you about Ketel Marte and the extension that he signed with the Diamondbacks. And we told you that the Diamondbacks have a roster-building philosophy that is clear as day for all of us to see. When they get a guy, when they find a guy, when they develop a guy that they believe is a part of their core, they waste little time signing that guy to a long-term extension and taking that player hitting free agency off the table for a while. They lock that guy into a core. They lock that guy into a window that they're trying to compete in. And we said yesterday how good the Diamondbacks are at this. This is the Cardinals dipping their toe in that water. This is one of the first draft picks in the Monty era that is up for these contracts. Although, I'm trying to do the math. Was this the last Keim draft or was this the first Monty draft? Producer Evan, if you can check me on that to see what year he got drafted. If he's signing this deal, we're going to try to do some rough math on the fly here. This is after his third year. So he's entering what would be his fourth year in 2025. So 2021, that is probably the last Keim draft. But these guys coming up for extensions, it has been few and far between for the Cardinals to have players that are worthy of getting that second contract, that are worthy of getting that contract extension. Trey McBride, the first in a really long time that has fallen into that bucket for this team. So Monty's not wasting little time. Identified a player that we believe is a valuable part of what we're doing, is a key cog in this offense. So we are going to lock this guy up the moment we have a chance. You couldn't do it last year. You had to wait until he finished 3 years. Boom, we're going to get this deal done. We're going to sign this guy long term. But they signed him for more money than any tight end has gotten in the history of the game. $19 million a season. You may think that that's weird, but I've told you that Trey McBride is part of a trio. He is part of a trio of the next wave of great tight ends. The previous era, Kelce, Kittle, Mark Andrews to a certain extent. Andrews a little younger than Kelce and Kittle, but those three guys are viewed as the previous era of tight ends. I've told you that the next three guys in that chapter are Trey McBride, Sam Laporta, and Brock Bowers. And you know who's due for a contract extension at the end of this upcoming season? Sam Laporta. Do you know who's due for a contract extension after that season? Brock Bowers. Do you know that very quickly, before half this deal is complete, Trey McBride is not going to be the top paid tight end in the NFL? That Mark Andrews probably going to get his deal redone and he might reset the market? Sam Laporta, when he hits free agency, he's going to try to beat that number? This is what happens with quarterbacks, right? There's the sticker shock of this guy resetting the market. Josh Allen making all that money. And within 2 or 3 off seasons, Josh Allen is being paid middle of the road in the NFL. Kyler Murray, when he signed that contract extension that put him towards the top tier, it did not take very long for him to all of a sudden reshuffle to the middle of the pack. You get out in front of this. You set the mark, you set the bar, and then you sit back and you go, it's your problem, Detroit. It's your problem, Vegas. It's your problem, Baltimore. We paid our guy. We locked our guy in. The cap continues to go up and up and up. We believe in this guy, was a Pro Bowler last year, is a key piece of what we're doing offensively, is by far the best offensive weapon that the Cardinals have. More polished than Marv right now. So he's the guy that everything funnels through. You pay a guy like that. So I know the $19 million might be a shock to some people. Seeing him atop of the tight end board might be a shock to some people, but I have zero problem with this.
Yeah, first I want to touch on, he was the last year of the Keim era.
Yeah, I had to walk through it a little bit. I had to talk it out amongst friends here, but I was able to do the math in my head and remember that it was the last Keim draft where McBride was a pick.
And second, to build on your point too, I think you and I talked about it in the morning meeting today. Is he arguably the most important piece to lock up on this offense? And I think if you argued about it today, you would say yes. And I don't really know who's second.
I don't. Sometimes you see a contract extension or you see a contract given out and you go, they paid that guy that much, or they like that guy that much, they wanted to lock him up long term. Everybody was waiting for this to happen. Everybody wanted Trey McBride to be locked up long term. We didn't want to get into OTAs and training camp and preseason games and have this still lingering over this team. We all wanted Trey McBride to be re-signed and locked up here long term. Because if you had to pick one player on the offense that you believe in the most for 2025, it's Trey McBride.
100%.
James Conner might be a close second. But Trey McBride is the one guy that we all look at and we go, that's a dude. That's a dude you build your offense around. And right now, while they're still trying to get Marv up to speed and they're trying to get Marv involved in this offense, and I think they'll accomplish that this season during his sophomore year, you need somebody to be your focal point. And Trey McBride is that focal point. So I love this deal. I love that they set the market and they said, good luck, everybody else now. You have a new bar to clear. We have zero concern, zero uneasiness about resetting the bar. They did right by Trey McBride. They beat the market because of timing. The Lions can't sign Laporta yet. The Raiders can't sign Bowers yet. And so when those contracts come up, that's going to be their problem. When Mark Andrews wants to get a rework deal in Baltimore, that's their problem. The Cardinals locked their guy up. They have him for the next 4 seasons after this one. They did the right thing. And not only did they do the right thing, but they got out in front of it the same way we talked about the Diamondbacks with Brendan Pfaadt and with Justin Martinez and with Perdomo and with Corbin Carroll and with Ketel Marte. You don't mess around. You don't play a staring contest and let these things linger. There is something about getting ahead of this stuff, doing things the right way, and just getting stuff done. And this is exactly the way this front office has operated. Budda Baker, James Conner, we're not letting you hit free agency. We're signing you to contract extensions. Trey McBride, this is the first offseason where you're eligible for a contract extension. We're going to get this done before the NFL draft. This isn't even going to be able to be a topic of conversation on sports talk radio, on podcasts, in the media, during OTAs, during training camp. It's a non-story. We're not even going to let it get to that point. How many times, Producer Evan, this is the conclusion of your first week here on the program, so I'll ask the listeners who have been with us since the beginning, how often have we really dedicated to worrying about Trey McBride and his contract extension? We may have done 1 or 2 segments discussing what the deal might look like, discussing if that's the next thing up for this team, but we didn't spend a lot of time, 1, worrying about it, 2, discussing if they were going to do it, should they do it. This front office, the feeling, at least for me, is you just kind of expect these things to get done. And bad organizations or organizations that play with their food a little bit and they allow things to become a bigger media story than they have to be, Dallas Cowboys, they allow these things to linger into OTAs, to linger into training camp, to be topics of conversations on these talking head shows week after week, day after day, all the way up until the beginning of the season. The Cardinals, they're not letting that happen. They're getting out in front of this stuff, and I think they made an absolute perfect decision. The price doesn't bother me. I have zero problem with this. You know that you're going to have to play in that sandbox anyway if you're going to pay Trey McBride. But this guy is a dude of your offense. Everything funnels through him right now. He is a problem for opposing defenses. You have to have a bunch of those dudes on your offense, and you pay a guy when you draft and develop a guy like Trey McBride. You reward that process with a contract like this. So I have zero problem with this. I think it's a great move for the Cardinals. The money doesn't scare me. This is going to be a non-story, the money, in 2 off seasons. You're not going to worry about this with the cap going up. This is why you kept all that cap space. This is why you roll over cap space, so you have this flexibility. This is an A-plus home run across the board for the Cardinals. Glad that they got it done.